Hello, welcome to Microsoft Virtual Academy, Cloud Security from the Field course. I'm glad to be back here with Raymond again. This time we are going to talk about the cloud and the cloud security from our experiences. So myself, I'm Erdal Ozkaya. I'm part of the global cybersecurity practice team based in Dubai. I'm a cybersecurity architect. I'm pretty sure most of you do remember me from my previous courses. This is my 5th year. Please make sure you go watch them. And with me today, I got Raymond again.
Yes, my name is Raymond Comvalius. I'm an independent architect and trainer from the Netherlands, and I usually help companies to move to the next generation Microsoft technologies.
Wow. When you say next generation, does this include the cloud?
That also means the cloud, of course.
Okay. So what is the agenda of today?
Well, first we will have an introduction into cloud security. We will move to several aspects of what's going on in the cloud and how you can deal with those security aspects when moving to the cloud. And then we will do a second section on Azure Security Center.
So, should we start with the introduction to the cloud? I mean, by now I think you all know that, but I keep asking that. I mean, before I joined Microsoft, I used to do many cloud shows, cloud security road shows, even though I'm doing this days less. And I used to ask, still, we are year 2016, people are still afraid from cloud. I'm like, hey, do you mind, what is your personal email address? xxxx@hotmail.com. I said, this is cloud. How do you call, like, let's say I'm in Turkey doing a customer visit. How do you call your parents, which is in Germany? Via Skype. This is cloud. Do you play games? Yes. What? Xbox. This is cloud. Exchange online. This is cloud. So cloud is not something new. It was in our life, but you probably were not aware that it was in our life. So you had the other day perfect explanation about the cloud when we were preparing this class. What was cloud for you, Raymond? The network, remember?
What was cloud?
Yeah. Well, what is cloud in your opinion? Okay.
In my opinion, it's when you move from your local data center, your own data center, to systems that are no longer yours, somewhere in another data center, and you don't have to worry about the hardware and all the cabling and stuff like that.
So you're outsourcing the labor work, basically, but you still have your network. The only difference is the server room is next door versus at Microsoft premises, for example.
Yes, but that's only part. Of course, there's different levels in how you can move to the cloud.
Okay, so let's build a scenario. Based on the scenario, let's talk about cloud security from the field. What kind of scenario should be built so we can explain this to our students?
Well, I'm running this company, and this company is thinking of moving its assets to the cloud. What am I going to do?
Okay, so when you say cloud, what kinds of cloud? So on premises, I think everybody knows, you have everything, as you said, from your cable to your rack, to your devices, to your switches, to your applications, to your middlewares, to your virtualization, everything in your premises. We have then IaaS, which is infrastructure as cloud. With this, if you look at the slide, you're going to see that we're offloading some of the stuff.
Yeah.
Like virtualization, service, storage, networking is not in your premises anymore. When we look at platform as service, the operating system, the middleware and the runtime on top of virtualization, service, storage, and networking is not with you anymore, but you're still in charge of your applications and of your data. So then we have software service. Software service is very common, Office 365. So everything from your applications to your data, to your runtime, to your middleware, operating system, service, storage, networking is up in the cloud. The green area is what you manage. The yellow or orange area is what the vendor manages. This vendor could be a Microsoft, Azure Security Center, Azure Cloud Data Center, or could be in Australia before we opened, Microsoft opened now 2 data centers. Like when I say now, it was few years back, 2 years now, I think,
Yes.
we used to have ISPs doing that. And ISPs can still do that. You can just go, for example, to your telecom provider and buy Office 365 seats. You don't have to come and buy it from us. It's our solutions in someone else's platform. So the scenario is, what would you like to have? Well, I like to explain this. This is not my slide, but I like to explain it as pizza services. You know, think about, you make the pizza at home yourself. You have your own dining table. You buy your soda from the mall. Then you have to pay for electric, gas, oven. You have to buy one. You have to, fire, all this stuff. What you have in your house. That's on premises. Now, infrastructure service, you make the phone call to that famous pizza chain. You order, or before that, sorry, you go to the supermarket, you buy your pizza dough, your tomato sauce, your toppings, your cheese. Let's talk about infrastructure service. But you still make it yourself as you wish. You put your own toppings. Let's say you're allergic to corn, and that famous pizza place always puts corn. To make sure that you don't have any corn, you buy the stuff. This is infrastructure as a service. Then we have the platform as a service. Now, you make the phone call. You call that pizza company. If you wish, you can use the soda that you have at home. Or if you wish, you can just buy it. They can deliver it for you. Platform as a service. So the pizza delivery. Then you said, you know what, that's my style more. To be honest, that's exactly me. When you go to Italian restaurant to eat a pizza, this is basically, you go there, that's to you, okay? You sit down there, you have to select again, and then order a pizza. Everything will come in front of you, and you have to eat. That we can't help. Sure. Pizza as a service. So now, as we say, cloud security from the field. I mentioned this in different courses before as well. We, Microsoft, we run on trust. We do everything to earn your trust, to keep your trust. And for that, we take security seriously. When it comes to cybersecurity, we have best-in-class security with decades of experience building enterprise software and online services. I mean, we are more than 4 years in the market now. And I think some of our products, we don't have any, I mean, there are many competitions, but again, this is my personal view. Yes, I know I work on Microsoft, but there is no other office. I mean, yes, there is some other offices, but it's not Microsoft Office. To be honest, there is some other, some of you do like some other operating system, but I think more than 86% of the world is still using Windows as the core operating system platform.
On the desktop, yes.
On the desktop. So we are the best. Data privacy. I get these questions a lot. I'm based in United Arab Emirates, in Dubai, and I do many roadshows around there. And sometimes they ask me, why should I trust Microsoft? Or more importantly, they sometimes ask me, why should we trust an American company? I always laugh at the sense, okay? I don't know if it's the right place to say, but I say, hey, are the competitors different companies? They're also American companies if you look at the big competitions, okay? It's not being an American company or not. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're doing their own good stuff, with all my respect. But this is, you have to look at certain points. Are we an advertising company? Do we look in your data and we use our machine learning analytics to read your emails, read that manually, scan your emails and give you the ads based on your email?
Nope, you don't.
No. We clearly take care of your privacy. We promise that, we commit that our customers' information will be not used in anything else. We take care of compliance. We have so many different certifications from independent vendors, and they have nothing to do with each other. That's our commitment to the industry to show our standards. And we are transparent. You can come and see what we're doing. We show, there are many YouTube videos. YouTube is not our platform. You can watch it. Or you received an email yesterday saying, I wish I was in Netherlands, you had to come here. There was they offered you what was the email about?
A tour through the data center.
Yeah, I mean, it's not you go and take photos, but it's just to show that how transparent we are. And we work with law enforcement and transparency centers. I mean, it was on the news. We opened different, like just very recent, we opened the data center in France. Before that, Germany. Before that, we have like
UK.
We have more than 20 Azure data center locations. When I say data center, don't think about your server room. One data center is like 6-7 Boeing-sized airplanes. It's huge. Or football size, football field size.
Yes.
It's huge. What we do is we like to share the responsibility with you. As you can see in the slides, the data governance doesn't matter if you're using your pizza or your software service, platform service, infrastructure service, or prem. We try to share the responsibility. The more you trust us, the more we should take the responsibility. On-prem, we make sure we give you the best operating system, which is compliant. On cloud, we take everything.
Well, everything. You as a customer, you are always responsible for
your own data. That's it. We never read or manage your data. It's still your job. Thank you very much.
And you are responsible for your own endpoints.
Exactly.
As soon as you start entering the data, when it's on the Microsoft platform.
Perfect point.
That's when things start to shift.
Thank you. That's why I have you as my partner for so many years, I think. Huh? We comply each other. All right. Before that, for audits and certifications, I mean, I'm not going to read them all. Globally, here in the States, regionally, and more are coming through. We are not just saying, hey, we got enough certifications. We always look for more. Why? To gain your trust. So, do you have any questions that you would ask me?
Well,
from the field, because we said cloud security from the field. What kinds of questions do you get from your customers? Which, I mean, I know for most of you, it's hard to reach Microsoft. Especially if you're SMB, you have to deal with partners. So, in this scenario, now Raymond, as an independent expert, me as Microsoft employee, we built a scenario and we collected most of the asked questions, right, Raymond?
Yeah,
you tell the scenario, I answer the question.
Well, one of those questions that I always get is my data secure in Azure?
Okay, but technically, safeguards such as encryption of data, transit at rest, operational process, data destruction policies is there to safeguard your policy. Like data at rest, for example, we encrypt it. Azure Vault. We have full solution for you. Policies, we help, we're doing all our power to give you the ability to secure your own data. We give you the platform, the service for your own data. Any other questions?
Do I have other questions? Well, let me see. I do actually have a lot of questions that I get from customers, and some of them are really, really interesting. So, for instance, there is this question: how do I securely connect my on-premises environment to the cloud?
Good question. We have something called virtual network. Azure Virtual Network will extend on your premises through site-to-site, point-to-site VPNs. And it's like when you create a branch office. So basically, we're giving you the ability to use the tools to connect to our services. We have dedicated fiber connections, and you can even use Azure Express Route, which we're going to cover a little bit later in this topics, as you know.
Okay, yeah.
So again, for more resources, you can always look in TechNet or Azure website via favorite search engine, and you can find out.
Okay.
More questions?
No, currently not. I think we'll have some later.
So now, the problem what we have today, we have a massive problem. What is the problem? You have your level of security and asset coverage, if you look at the slides. As usual, one of the biggest issues today is, and I'm telling you, I went to really, really big customers. Limited resources. It's a big issue. And there is lots of expectations to meet. Yes. Everybody wants to fill all the dots as green. everybody assumes, ideally, that you have the one what you see in your left-hand side, the security standards. But when auditors come, or when you report, you will see that there are many risk acceptance. So, you know, I have a couple of courses with risk management, ISO 27000, ISO 30000, 20000, 30,000 is perfect, for example. What is risk? What is threat? What is vulnerability? We did talk in previous courses about that. Please go and watch. I'm not going to repeat myself. But what we do is, for example, driving. I know you have a great car. You just bought it like last year. It costs X amounts of euros. You live in Europe. What is your protection against this car? So what is, God forbidden, you hit it to a wall?
Well, you never can reach maximum security.
So you accept some risk. But what do you do if you hit? Are you gonna go buy next day a car, or you insure your car? What is the story there?
I will insure my car.
Insure your car. You mitigate the risk. You transfer the risk. Sorry, not mitigate. You transfer the risk to someone else, and you pay something in return.
True.
Okay. If like what the car manufacturer has done, there were many accidents. People were flying out of window. They put a seat belt to keep you in your seat. Then they mitigate the risk for you flying out your window. Then people start to hit the noise to the steering wheel. They put an airbag. They mitigate the risk. I always give this example. My parents are from Turkey. Istanbul. One city, two continents. Beautiful city. Highly recommend it. I like to drive. When I come to States, I hire my car. I go explore. Then I'm not here for business. Let's say I want to do this in Turkey. No problem. I get the car in Turkey. I start driving. Through Turkey, no problem. I come to Antioch, Hatay, right the border of Syria. I enter Syria. Then, you know, from Syria, I'm going to come to Africa. You know, I'm going to pass. Let's assume I'm going to pass Syria. Okay. I'm going to go through Egypt, through Africa, to South Africa. What is my chance to drive in one piece all this way from Istanbul to Cape Town?
Not a chance at all, I think.
So what I do is I use the cloud, which I call airplane. Okay. So so the cloud usage is here. My chance to survive in the wild is very less, very low. You know my English. So I use the airplane. Yeah, there might be an accident, very unlikely. If it happens, I know the result. It's gonna happen once.
True.
So back to the topic. I think you know how I bind it into the security. So actual defense level is what you see in the slides in this area here. There are so many missing dots. So when we look in the ideal strategy, we see that we have to prioritize our ruthlessly. So we have to reverse maximum security effort for HPAs only. We have to prioritize, activate easy, attack techniques. We have to build on success. We have to expand capabilities.
Yeah.
So our aim is to be successful. To be able to do that, we have to work with the governances. We have to have the right security policies. We have to give you, the administrators, admin privileges management. We're going to talk about identity shortly. You're going to talk about it. We have to talk about identity system, identity management, threat awareness, data protection. Saying that, as I don't know if you watched it yet, if not, please go ahead and watch it. We delivered before a beautiful course with Raymond called Windows 10 Security from the Field. From real life, sorry, that's the field course. Go ahead and watch it. There we cover different aspects, but there I did mention that we as Microsoft, we assume breach all the time. We have our own red teams and blue teams. There I'm talking about Windows. Here I'm talking about Azure. It's at the end the cloud platform, which we call Microsoft. So there is a strategic shift in the process. There is a beautiful Dubai picture here. Okay. Before, once upon a time, we used to live in a castle. It was safe to live in castle. We had high walls, and we thought this was security. If you think about your data center, it's the same thing. You could hear your noise in your next door, and this was your perimeter for security.
Yes.
From there, we moved to cloud services with Azure Bridge in mind. We have a holistic approach, which is based on NIST cybersecurity framework. We try to identify, protect, detect, response, and recover. Our Microsoft holistic approach is protect, detect, response. But the NIST one is to identify what it is, to protect. To be able to protect, you have to be able to detect.
Yeah.
Once you detect, you have to be able to respond and then recover. So identify. You go to doctor. When you go to doctor, you don't say, "Hey doctor, I'm sick.
No.
Fix me."
Already
You have
detected.
to identify. I have a pain in my head. Boom, boom. So as a protection, he's going to check if there's anything urgent. He's going to try to find the causes. Maybe she, I say he, sorry. Then he's going to give me some antibiotics, painkillers, and he's going to send me home. That's the cure. Let's look at cloud. 2020, 95% of the cloud security failures will be the customer's fault, says Gartner. So we have to be able to build a trusted cloud platform with security in mind. Saying that, we have to have lots of privacy. It's a very important thing in the cloud. We are not a retail shop, a retail cloud provider.
No.
We are an enterprise cloud provider, and we do support SMBs. But we give them also the control. As you said, it's their data. For that, we are transparent, and we follow the compliances. This is what empowers our customers. We have the key vault. You asked me this question. This is basically making you more secure. We have virtual networks. You asked me that question too. We have VPN plus Express Route. We have the Azure Active Directory. We talked about it in our previous course before. There are many others in MVA. We have our partners, our marketplace solutions, from firewall brands to load balancing, from load balancing to anti-malware, from anti-malware to different. It's a marketplace. You use your own, what you like, your own solution. Instead of buying the hardware or software, install it in your data center, you take it and you install it in our data center remotely.
Yes.
And Microsoft. Then we have Azure Security Center. That we're going to talk about tomorrow. Tomorrow, I said, in the next chapter.
True.
Any other question that you have? If not, I'm going to start asking you questions.
Okay, ask me a question.
Okay, how are you today? This is the question. All right. Do you have any questions?
Well, you're saying, well, this cloud has to be trusted. It has to be more secure. So what threat defenses does Azure have in place?
We have many of them. I was just mentioning Azure Security Center, for example, which we're going to talk about it later. But we have intrusion detection, prevention system. Against DOS, we have different solutions, or we have the marketplace where our customers can select DOS protection. We have our internal red team, blue team. Then we have a forensic team. Then we have lots of tools to help you to mitigate the threats, both from outside and from inside as well. Let's say you want to do a forensic analysis for your own data. Or you want to do penetration testing. We do as Microsoft, we definitely don't do penetration testing on behalf of the customer. But if you get the permission from us, we can give you, there are some documentations that you have to follow, some rules. We even give you to test us or your data.
Yes. No, that's and it sounds as if Microsoft has better tools and resources to actually secure the cloud than we do have for our own data center. Another question: how does Azure respond to incidents, and how will that work for me if I experience a security incident?
Okay, that's exactly what I do for a living. I'm not in the Azure team, but I'm a cybersecurity architect. And with us, you cannot see I work 9 to 6. We have 24/7 incident response team that works to mitigate the effects of an attack or malicious activity. We have a beautiful life cycle where we have many different. Mark Russinovich, I think it's my. If I'm gonna put the URL in the slide text, okay? But Mark Russinovich did deliver a great session at our RSA conference last year, 2015. Look at Bing, Mark Russinovich, RSA conference 2015. You will see that what we do as Microsoft in a detail. So I just gave you some hints how we do it. So you asked me lots of questions. Hey, we love our MVPs, but let me ask you some questions as well. Identity. So if you remember, we done with you Windows 10 course before, and we talked about identity, but now I want you to focus just in the cloud part. What is identity? What is the beginning of identity management, dear Raymond Comvalius?
Well, I think for cloud, I think the most important thing is identity. You want to be sure that your data can only be accessed by those that you trust. So this is about identities. How do you tell who is authorized by you? And how can you ensure that he or she who is authorized is actually that person? So it begins with the cloud identities that you have to be provisioned. You can choose how you provision your identities. Those can be cloud-only identities, but usually you will start from your on-premise environment. There's first your on-premise Active Directory, and then you extend to the cloud. And extending to the cloud means that your identities are being kind of copied, synchronized to the cloud.
We have the tools for you to do so.
Yes. And then you can choose whether you like to do the authentication in the cloud or still on-prem. And if you want to do it on-prem, you're going to create a more complex environment, because to authenticate on-prem, you're going to have to implement your own ADFS infrastructure. And if you're going to authenticate in the cloud, well, then there is
you can use federation.
Cloud authentication services. And cloud authentication services means that all you have to do is synchronize those IDs with the password hashes to the cloud, and nothing more, nothing less. If you want to do the authentication yourself with ADFS, well, then you have to deploy your own ADFS infrastructure. And that may be harder than you think of at first, because you have the cloud, which is this big infrastructure that has everything in place, that's always available, and has everything in place to protect you from everything. And now you create your own authentication infrastructure, and you want that to be just as available and just as safe as the rest in the cloud. Because if your ADFS infrastructure is not available, your resources in the cloud are not available. So this may be a hard part of implementing it, and that makes it complex. And that's why the slide also says complex. Really complex. And that's absolutely true in this case.
All right. Are there any additional capabilities which we can use?
Yes, of course. Especially they call it identity as a service, and identity as a service is what I usually refer to as conditional access. And with conditional access, you can actually apply extra conditions before the data or the resources in the cloud can be accessed. For instance, if you use Azure AD Join with Windows 10, or use a registration in the cloud with other platforms, you define actually what devices are trusted by you. And then you can tell, well, I have a resource in the cloud, for instance, SharePoint, and my resource in the cloud can only be accessed from my trusted devices. So that if anyone steals your identity, and says, I'm Erdal and I have Erdal's password, that is not enough to access those resources. Because the next thing that the cloud will ask from you, being Erdal, is asking, well, and the device that you are using, is this a trusted device or registered device? And if it's not, you're not allowed access.
Okay, this brings us to the new blind spot for IT, right? Yeah. Like we have cybercrimes, and we know that not everybody is reporting cybercrime. Like around 32% of the businesses reported to the affected by cybercrime. Shadow IT, it's same there. 80% of the employees admit using non-approved SaaS apps for work purposes. So this is causing some issues, right?
Well, it has a reason why they call it the blind spots of IT.
Because what's the reason? That's my question to you.
Lots of times, IT doesn't know. IT doesn't know that there has been a data breach.
Which we talked in the beginning. Remember we said under, not enough resources, not enough knowledge. This point comes to that. Yes, sorry, I cut you off.
IT doesn't know that they've been breached. They didn't know that there was a cybercrime going on. They didn't know that their users were using different IT services. So all these things happen, and this may be in the blind for IT. And I think moving to the cloud can help you to actually get more insight of what's going on and what your users are trying to use or want to use, and that you are more flexible in providing them in what they actually need.
So this brought us also to the data breach points, which we covered in a previous MVA before that we recorded. Most of the data breaches happen with stolen passwords, right?
Yes.
As we mentioned before, the security landscape is changing. Doesn't matter, like we deliver Windows 10, I said that. I deliver ethical hacking class, I said that. We deliver cloud security session, I'm saying that. So what is the security landscape of the cloud? Yes, as Microsoft, I know what it is, but how do you see it as an independent expert that we work together a lot?
Well, the security landscape of the cloud, well, the cloud is actually living on the internet, which is a hostile environment by nature. And that is something that Microsoft has built Azure from the ground up with the idea this is something that has to live on the internet, and we have to be protected from this hostile environment. While most data centers and corporations were built in the days that we were in this walled environment, that we thought we were safe. And that's a completely different mindset.
Which comes to the point that the current defenses are not sufficient, right?
We didn't think of that when we were building that.
So what will be our approach then? Let me tell you as Microsoft. It's holistic. Why? Because we address security challenges across users. As you said, identities, devices, any kind of devices, not just Microsoft devices, data apps, platforms, on premises or in the cloud. We are identity driven. We offer one protected common identity for secure corporate resources. Again, I believe we are innovative. We work to protect your data from new and other cybersecurity challenges, and that's part of our team as well. And if you remember, we did deliver for Windows 10 security sessions, and there we invited Heike. I don't know if you remember that. Yes. Day. She showcased Windows Defender APT.
ATP.
Okay, and there we showcase how, or you can just use the Office 365 or ATA, how we work as a holistic, intelligent platform. The security graphical graph.
Well, the intelligence also comes from machine learning and all the information that is gathered from all those different resources, and to ensure that Microsoft has a more complete vision on what's going on and happening in this new landscape than we have from our point of view.
Now, with we, you don't mean Microsoft, just to make it clear. So, but when I say we, I mean Microsoft. Okay. As we spoke before, just for the ones that didn't watch the course, we have more than 300 billion unique authentication happening in Azure. We have a Bing, more than 1 billion search
requests.
queries. Huh? Yeah. We have Windows Update platform. Billions of data, not billions of data, megabytes of terabytes, petabytes. God knows who's downloading how much.
True.
Then we have Windows 10, Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows XP. We used to have it, not anymore. We have the unique platform which brings us a step ahead. Okay, cool. You talked about this, but what else do we have? We have, as I said, holistic, innovative, and intelligent solution, which we call Microsoft Identity-Driven Solution. So we trying to protect you at the front door as well. So we safeguarding your resources at the front door with advanced solutions with risk mitigation in mind, with conditional access, as we spoke in a different course before with you. We try to protect your data against user mistakes as well. We spoke in a previous course, Windows Information Protection.
Yeah.
And there, I said, hey, Windows Information Protection is there, but you highlighted, for the ones that you didn't watch it, you can go to Microsoft Virtual Academy and watch Windows 10 Security from the Field. No, from real life. I keep forgetting the names. Course, okay, which we did deliver. And there we showcase how Windows 10 is helping you to mitigate these user errors, or how you can use the cloud power to go even to the next level. And Azure Rights Management was one of the solutions.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we're going to talk about it in the next chapter, Azure Security Center. We are trying to detect the attacks before they cause any damage.
Yeah, that's like Windows Defender on Windows itself.
Exactly.
Sends the information to the cloud.
ATP.
No, Defender, AV even.
Even AV, yes. We spoke about it in the previous course.
Yes.
So, when I say protect at the front door, what do you understand?
Well, what you see in the cloud is that additional conditions may apply. So, you're trying to access the data, you know the username and password, but that may not be enough, depending on how you try to access the data. If you are coming from your own trusted corporate network, for instance, it may be enough if you just prove your identity with username and password. But now all of a sudden, you are on the other side of the earth. And you're trying to access the same data. And this is when conditional access may apply. Because now all of a sudden, your username and password may not be enough. You may be forced to use multi-factor authentication, use an app, or use a code that you get. The cloud resource may even ask you to provide some extra security by providing, for instance, telling you that you are using a joint device or that your device is compliant, to ensure that you will be only allowed access when everything is in place.
And conditions are met.
And conditions are met. And a certain risk level has not been passed during accessing the data.
As I mentioned a few minutes ago, we do a lot to protect your data against user mistakes. So for cloud app security, we have shadow IT discovery, risk scoring, policies for control. To prevent leakage from your mobile apps, we have DLP in Office 365. We have optional device management with Windows Intune, for example. Not Windows Intune, this is the old name, Microsoft Intune. And of course, the line of business application protection. And we have also the Azure Information Protection for your on-premises or the cloud protection, where we can classify, label your assets.
Rights management.
Rights management, right? Where we protect your assets. And where you can monitor and respond if a leakage is happening. We work hard to detect the attacks before they even occur, before they can cause damages. We have cloud app security level with behavior analytics, and we have anomaly detection. Raymond usually doesn't log in at this time. Why is he on the system? Raymond usually doesn't delete 2,000 user accounts at once. I mean, I just made the number up. Why? So we have advanced threat analytics with user and entry behavioral analytics to help you to be more secure against non-malicious attacks, non-security issues, or maybe even against 0 days. So, besides that, we have also Enterprise Mobility Suite, EMS. How does this work?
Well, the Enterprise Mobility Suite is actually it's a number of things. It's Microsoft Intune for management and for providing conditional access to your resources. But at the same time, it's additional functionality in Azure Active Directory to enable you to, for instance, monitor where users have been logging on and when they have been logging on. And with all those things together, you get the complete solution to be more secure in the cloud. You get application security in the cloud. You get Azure AD proxy, for instance, to provide access to your local resources from the cloud, with the cloud being the barrier, the cloud requiring identity management, the cloud requiring to provide multi-factor authentication when necessary before accessing your local resources. Locally, you would not have been able to do stuff like that. But now, when you're doing this from the cloud gives you these new options, these new functionalities to have a safer and safer access to your network and your resources and have less risk to get there.
Okay, I remember when we recorded last time a course together, you asked Heike a question about licensing, and she was talking about E5, E3. Let me see if you memorize the answer and you know the answer by heart now. So, what is this E5, E3 business, and how does it apply to what you just spoke about?
Well, with the E3 license, for Windows at least, you're entitled to use Windows Enterprise Edition. And you get all the features that Windows Security provides.
So you don't have to be an enterprise client. Even if you're a small business, you can just subscribe.
You can still run Windows 10 Professional. But if you want to have it all, you're going to have to use Windows 10 Enterprise Edition. By the way, upgrading is a breeze. It's entering the key and you're upgraded. No restart starts involved. Going from E3 to E5, you get one very important extra. Because going from E3 to E5, you get advanced threat protection. Which means that you can now start monitoring your clients from the cloud and get insight in when a breach occurs so that you can respond.
So with this, I want to actually, we're speaking for the last 50 minutes, pause this discussion here, because when we say cloud security on a field, we can speak hours and hours and hours, but I want to finish this section as part 1. Maybe the listeners want to have a small break. And part 2, we're going to continue to speak about cloud security, not module 2, part 2, okay? And we will talk about other security features which is given to you. Let's have a small break. And we're looking forward to see you in the part 2 of module 1.